Your challenge is to do your job accurately and professionally. We provide you with procedures and checklists so that you can demonstrate that you are impartial and are simply present to do your job. You will sign a confidentiality agreement with Concertino, and you must never disclose or discuss any detail of customers' testing programs except in conversations with Concertino colleagues. This video is for you, a Concertino collecting officer. We want you to be proud of your role as a representative of this global drug testing organization and be confident and comfortable in your work. As you watch this video, you will see we give you everything you need to do your job, including support and training. And this section identifies the standards of behavior that we expect. We set these standards to help you always to be professional in your work. Be aware that we will audit you to make sure you are complying with the standards. We expect you to be courteous and efficient. Wherever you go, you're being asked to enter someone else's workspace and may disrupt their work. Always introduce yourself, showing your Concertino company identity badge. Treat everyone with respect, irrespective of rank or seniority. Please respect their working environment. Obey their rules and do not unnecessarily disturb the belongings in offices and areas given to you for your use. When you have finished, tidy up and remove all traces of your visit. As part of the collection process, we gather what is considered to be personal data on the donors. We are mindful of the importance of careful handling of this data and have security systems in place to protect it. You must not dispose of partially completed paperwork on site, where other people may get access to it. Send it back to us, where we can dispose of it safely. Dress code. Our collecting officers are asked to visit a wide range of locations. You may be working in an office, on a construction site, or on a vessel. Even if the dress code of the place you are visiting is casual, you must always appear smart, clean, and professional. We ask you to wear dark trousers, never jeans. We recommend polo shirts for the less formal sites and plain shirts and ties for male collecting officers when visiting offices. Ladies should always wear sleeved tops, even when it is very hot. Health and safety. Personal protective equipment must be worn when site conditions dictate, and you must always comply with the safety regulations for the site. You are responsible for your own safety, and we will support you if you are at all concerned about the suitability of the working conditions that you are offered. You must take rest breaks. Make sure you are aware of what fire and other alarms sound like, and have a contact point on site for your own security. When driving on Concertino business, you must not use your mobile phone or break any traffic rules, such as speeding or parking. Personal favours. Offers of refreshments while you are on site are welcome and can be accepted, but you must not accept gifts or personal favours from customers or their employees. If you do, this could be interpreted by others to suggest that you have been bribed to influence the outcome of the tests. If you know employees of the company you are visiting, let us know so that we can protect your reputation against any accusations of favoritism or improper conduct. Procedures. We expect you to follow the specified procedures and use the checklists provided. These checklists are not just for you, although if you use them properly, you should never make mistakes. They are also for the donor, so that they are aware of all the steps in the process which may otherwise seem a bit intimidating. Remember that you are part of a worldwide team, and customers may meet your fellow collecting officers in other countries. This is why we stress that you must follow procedures and do things the way you have been taught. Just as you would expect Coca-Cola to look and taste the same wherever you buy it, our customers expect the same standards from every collecting officer, and they notice when they are different. The procedures you are trained to use have a specific purpose: to ensure that we can prove that a particular specimen originated from a particular individual, and that the results reported relate beyond doubt to that specimen. The procedures follow a logical progress to achieve this aim, and you must not change the order simply because you believe your way is better. If the physical layout of your collection area or incidents during the collection mean that you have to be adaptable, always keep in mind what you are trying to achieve. Remember that the individual's future may be affected by this test, and don't let your site contact or the donor pressure you to hurry the procedures.
Chris, can you get a move on? I've got a line of fellas out here waiting to get in. It's in the time.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best, but I have to make sure that these procedures are absolutely correct. So I'll do my best. Thank you.
As quick as you can.
Righto.
And I mean that, as quick as you can.
I'll do my best.
Dealing with the donor. We use the word donor to describe the person being tested. There are some basic rules to follow, whatever the type of specimen being collected. Remember that for some donors, this will be an anxious moment, and it is your calm, friendly, but professional approach that will put them at ease. Reassurance is an important part of your role. Always introduce yourself and welcome them to your test area. Check that they have got identification with them, as without this, you cannot proceed with the specimen collection process. Invite them to read the donor information sheet and help them if English is not their main language. Share the step-by-step procedures checklist with the donor so that they can follow what you are doing with their specimen, and as a result, will be able to give proper, informed consent for the specimen analysis. The donor must sign the consent to test. If they refuse, we cannot analyze the sample and the collection should be stopped. If you forget to ask the donor to sign, we will have let the customer and the donor down because we will not be able to analyze the specimen. Never leave your equipment, unused kits and paperwork or collected specimens unattended. The donor must have the reassurance that no one can interfere with their specimen. Administration. We provide you with all the information you need relating to a particular collection. You will be advised if the customer has specific requirements or needs their own paperwork to be completed. You will be told who to report to on site and who to report instant test results to. We will tell you what to do with the paperwork. It is your responsibility to make sure that you are fully equipped at all times. You must make sure you have a full stock of kits and equipment consumables. All items with expiry dates must be regularly checked to confirm they are within date. Orders for replacements must be made in good time. It is not acceptable for any collection to be stopped because you do not have the appropriate kit and equipment to carry out the tests requested. Confidentiality. Again, we must stress the need to keep your knowledge about customers and individual donors to yourselves, and only share this with your Concertino colleagues when it would be a useful insight into collections. Gossip is not compatible with your professional status. Concertino has 3 laboratories, each a specialist centre of excellence. The laboratory in Cardiff receives the hair specimens. Abingdon takes the oral fluid specimens, while the urine specimens go to Canary Wharf in London. All the laboratories are accredited to the internationally recognised standard ISO 17025. Some of our collection procedures are covered by this accreditation, which is why we may need to audit you from time to time. In all three laboratories, the process is the same. The specimen arrives and goes through basic checks to make sure it is in the same condition as when the donor last saw it. These checks include the donor must have signed the consent for the specimen to be tested. The specimen packaging and tamper-evident specimen seals must be intact. The barcode numbers on the two specimen portions and the paperwork must match. The specimen must not appear to have been interfered with or be abnormal in any way. There is sufficient specimen for analysis, and the A and B specimens must be evenly matched. If any one of these checks is failed, the specimen will not be analysed, because we cannot guarantee the chain of custody of the specimen. Why? Well, if the seals are broken, or the samples look abnormal, we cannot prove that the contents have not been interfered with. If the barcode numbers are different, then we potentially have specimens from two or more people confused, and can no longer prove that the particular specimen originated from a particular individual. We must have two specimens to give the donor the opportunity to challenge our analytical results, and there must be the same amount of specimen for the challenge analysis. Finally, if the consent is not signed, we cannot, by law, carry out the analysis. If you follow the procedures correctly, we should never have to cancel a specimen. For each specimen type, there are other irregularities that tell us you have not been doing your job properly. We will let you know of any failings and will retrain you when appropriate. These small failings are often used by people challenging test results who argue that if a minor procedure was not followed, then what confidence can they have in the whole process? If the specimen passes all the fatal flaw checks, the analysis can commence. All the specimens go through an initial screening test, which identifies some specimens as negative. Those specimens that are not negative go on for further analysis, which establishes the chemical fingerprint of the specimen. This may show that no significant compounds are present, in which case the specimen is reported as negative. The remaining positive specimens are subject to a medical review process to determine if there is any legitimate reason for the result, such as medication, which is why you will ask the donor about recent medication. Where the medication matches, these specimens will be reported as negative. The analytical process is continuously monitored by the inclusion of quality control specimens, and all analytical data are subject to careful scrutiny before the results are finally reported. As added protection for the individual being tested, you split the specimen into two parts at the point of collection. We only open one specimen to carry out the analysis, and we keep the second specimen with its tamper-evident chain of custody seal intact for 12 months. The donor can ask for this second specimen to be analysed independently. This video describes the process for collecting urine, oral fluid, hair and breath specimens, all following chain of custody principles. For clarity, we have treated each specimen type separately, but you will quite often be asked to carry out a combination of tests. In these cases, we will give you additional instructions on how to link the processes together. Chain of custody is the common feature of the tests described. Chain of custody is the system of controls designed to prove that a particular specimen originated from a particular individual and that the results reported relate beyond doubt to that specimen. As collecting officer, you must be sure that the specimen collected is genuine. The donor must be aware of all the steps in the collection process, which is why we stress the use of the checklist. Chain of custody form. Where the specimen is sent for laboratory analysis, a chain of custody form will be completed. Whatever the specimen, the chain of custody form have these common features. Barcode identifier to link the form to the specimens. Confirmation of the identity of the donor. Donor consent to test, which must be signed. Signature of the collecting officer. Record of recent medication. Urine, hair, and oral fluid have individual features which need to be recorded. For example, the temperature for urine specimens and hair colour for hair. The forms will usually be multi-leaved, one copy for the lab and other copies for the donor and the customer. Specimen containers. The specimen containers will be sealed with tamper-evident seals, which are signed or initialed by the donor to provide evidence of ownership. Tamper-evident means that we can see if someone has tried to interfere with the specimen after it has been placed in its container. For every collection, preparation begins at home. Make sure you have enough kit and equipment, and order more when you are running low. Check items with expiry dates, as these will invalidate the tests. Regularly check equipment to make sure it is working properly. Check the customer special instructions. When you get to the customer site, introduce yourself to the site contact and show your ID badge. Ask for time to prepare your area. Do all the necessary preparation, including procedures and manuals. For each donor, you need donor information sheet, checklist, paperwork, choice of test kits. When each donor arrives, welcome them. Show your ID. Ask to see their ID. Explain what is going to happen. Show them the checklist you will be using. Follow the checklist. When all the testing is complete, tidy the area you have been using and remove all evidence of testing. Ask the site contact to sign your timesheet. Check that they are happy with your visit and say goodbye.